Hello, everyone. I am doing an extra show to cover some late breaking news that will likely affect your week one NFL survivor pick. And I'll go over our top 10 value plays on the main slate for DraftKings and FanDuel. And it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee with the Fantasy Football Consultant. So much to talk about. We're going to get to the NFL Survivor news where I actually changed my NFL Survivor pick for week one due to the latest news that has come out. More on that in a second. First, let's talk about the top 10 value plays on DraftKings and FanDuel's main slate. And the first one is affected by some late breaking news out of Pittsburgh. QB Russell Wilson, who has a bad calf, he still hopes he can play, but sources are indicating that the likelihood of him doing so is, and this is a quote, very slim. So he's going to get treatment on that calf all day Saturday night, and as well on Sunday. But if it does not respond, then the quarterback is going to be Justin Fields. And look at his price, especially on DraftKings, a paltry $5,000. Now, you got to remember, there is slim pickings in Pittsburgh's wide receiver core, as in the only one is George Pickens. Why? Because they lost on the Brandon Ayuk sweepstakes, and recent news just have come out. Wide receiver Roman Wilson is going to be out for week one. But let's not kid ourselves, folks. We're not picking Justin Fields because of his arm. We're picking him because of his legs and how dynamic he can be. So love this as a pick if you want to save some money, especially on DraftKings. All right, let's talk about running back. Chuba Hubbard and Jerome Ford are both benefiting from, respectively, Jonathan Brooks and Nick Chubb being out. Now, I think we knew about those injuries, but the prices are pretty good given the fact that they both should be the lead back. There is some late breaking news out of Carolina where Miles Sanders, who was on the injury report earlier, is now off. So he might be spelling Hubbard a little bit. It won't be clearly all Hubbard in the backfield. But given these prices, especially on FanDuel for Hubbard, something to consider if you're looking to save money and you want to do it at running back. Now, personally, I think there's a bunch of mid-range running backs between the Rashad Whites, the Kenneth Walkers, and who's the other one that I like? Alvin Kamara, that I don't need to go dumpster diving here, but if you like these guys or don't like those other guys that I mentioned as much as I do, then you know what? Nothing wrong with Hubbard and Ford. All right, let's talk about wide receivers, and these guys go hand in hand. These are my two sleeper draft picks, Joshua Palmer and Khalil Shakir, and I want to talk about them together because they're so similar in situations. They both play on teams with really quality quarterbacks, with Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. They both have situations where there have been a lot of turnover in the wide receiver room. In LA, there is no Keenan Allen and no Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler, who caught a lot of passes, is gone. Where in Buffalo, no Stephon Diggs and no Gabe Davis. So, and what's unique about Palmer and Shakir, they've only brought in new players and they brought in two rookies. So they are the guys who have the most continuity with their respective quarterbacks, which I like a lot as far as performance in week one. So Palmer is absurdly priced on FanDuel at a mere $5,000. And Shakir is the cheaper one on DraftKings at $5,100. All right, another wide receiver to talk about in some late breaking news. Rashid Shaheed is at home against Carolina, and look at that DraftKings price at $4,400. Now, the latest news is their number 3 wide receiver, Perry, has a hand injury. Now, he is questionable. He might play, but if he is out, they're going to only rely even more on Shaheed. And of course, Chris Olave in the passing attack. Obviously, you're going to watch. That's a game time decision. 90 minutes before game time, you might want to check that out. All right, more news. And this is another thing you're going to want to check in with right before game time. The nice thing is all these games so far that we've been talking about, or most of them, are in the early slate. And it's Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen is questionable for this game. So if you look at the wide receiver room for the Chicago Bears, generally considered as the top two wide receivers are DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Very excited about Rome Odunze, their draft pick, first rounder. And what is his role going to be? Now, if Keenan Allen is not playing, man, $4,000 for Rome Odunze looks like a steal. So something to watch for in the news. All right, more news, and this is the big one, folks. Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase has been basically doing a hold-in. He wants more money. We all knew that, but by Saturday night, which is when I'm filming this, we would have thought this would have been all resolved by now. Well, guess what? It's not resolved. It's only getting worse because now, added to the injury report, we've listed Chase as having an illness. Now, I don't know what this illness is. I have a feeling it might be an illness that would be cured by a whole lot of extra money and a new contract. But regardless, we need to respect that. And you have to watch the late breaking news right before game time in order to see whether Chase is inactive or he's active for this game. But folks in Cincinnati, it gets worse because where Jamar Chase, their number one wide receiver, is questionable, their number two wide receiver, T. Higgins, is doubtful. That basically means he's not going to play, folks. This all happened since the last time we filmed. This happened in practice on Thursday. So if, in fact, Higgins is out, and he almost surely will be, and Chase doesn't play, boy, let me tell you how much I like Andre Josephus. Look, we talked about Andre Josephus on our cash DraftKings lineup. We liked him when we thought both of those guys would play. So he's a no doubt about starter now, in my opinion, with T. Higgins likely out and maybe Chase being out. And even a consideration on FanDuel at $4,300. But it also opens the possibility, especially if those two stars are out at wide receiver for Cincinnati, you should give a strong look for Mike Gesicki, who is also the tight end on Cincinnati. Now, some of you may be going, hang on a minute. I'm looking at the depth chart for Cincinnati, and Drew Sample's the starting tight end. Well, Drew Sample is more of a blocking tight end. If they're looking for a passing tight end, it's going to be Mike Gesicki, and we could have a very good situation that if we're missing these wide receivers, that both of the tight ends will be in a lot of plays. $3,000 is just bargain basement to pay for Mike Gesicki at tight end. And even $4,900. Well, $4,900, he's not as attractive on FanDuel. Why? Because there's a tight end I also like, who's a little cheaper on FanDuel, Zach Ertz. And so I would consider him. I've already talked about Ertz a lot all through the week. I just think that he is the starting tight end on Washington, reunited with his head coach in Arizona. Now that head coach is an offensive coordinator on Washington, Cliff Kingsbury. And I trust that he's going to be a big part of this Washington offense, the tight end with Jaden Daniels, the rookie, relying on him as his safety valve, and that Tampa Bay historically has not done a great job against tight ends. All right, folks, the last thing we need to talk about is NFL Survivor Week 1 ramifications. You know what? The Cincinnati Bengals, who play, they play New England. They have been by far the chalk pick for NFL Survivor. They've been by far the highest point favorite, 9.5 points. But likely due to their problems in the wide receiver room that we just discussed, they have dropped from 9.5 to 7.5 point favorites. Folks, This really scares me. Now, I get it. They're probably going to win. But when I went on a limb, I won't say out on a limb, but when I went for the Bengals, it was for the fact I said, hey, I want no stress week 1. I want the pick that's by far the safest for the week. If you hear that Jamar Chase is out, and I'm pretty sure that T. Higgins is not playing, I think you should strongly fade the Bengals as a week 1 pick because you've got other options. If you like Buffalo, 6.5-point favorites at home against Arizona, or Seattle, 6-point favorites at home against Denver, or New Orleans, 4-point favorites over Carolina. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I am in the Yahoo pool, and I am going to make my survivor pick right now. All right. So if I go to the Yahoo, Eric's extraordinary pick set, I was thinking New Orleans, and I actually said that on an earlier show because it's a large pool. I'm not doing that. So look at the pick popularity, by the way, here on Yahoo. I mean, Cincinnati is by far the popular pick. And I just think, given the recent news, I no longer think that's the pick based on pick popularity, based on future value. I am going to pick my beloved Seattle Seahawks. Now, I get it, folks. There's a very, very reasonable likelihood that the Denver Broncos, with a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, upsets the Seahawks. But if the Bengals don't have a wide receiver room, I don't have that much more confidence in them either. So I'm confident to an extent that Seattle is going to pull this out. They're the better team. They're at home. Offensively, they have all their weapons. Got a new coaching staff that I'm excited about. So I'm going with Seattle as my survivor pick. I'm going to click save. Well, folks, if you appreciate it, this late breaking show took a little extra time for me to prepare, but I felt that there's some important information that covered both NFL DFS and NFL Survivor. So if you appreciate it, do me a solid, smash that like button. And if you haven't yet, please hit the red subscriber button. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys in our community. Take care and enjoy your NFL Sunday. I'll put 2 videos on the screen I think you'll enjoy.